Hi guys and welcome back to the channel. In today's video we will be talking about air doctrines and air missions. Our goal is to determine which missions are the most important and consequently which doctrines benefit us the most. Now for this comparison I made the usual spreadsheet so we can check out all details from each doctrine. If that sounds interesting, then this is the right video for you. If you have any doubts, feel free to ask in the comments and make sure to join our Discord to meet our amazing community. And of course guys, if you enjoy the content I make, please do not forget to support the channel by liking the video, subscribing and leaving me a comment, it really helps. As you already know, I always start these videos with a quick answer, so here is your quick answer. In my opinion, the most important missions are air superiority and close air support, and the air doctrine that benefits them the most is battlefield support. So this is what I would pick 90% of the time. But what about the other two doctrines? Are they completely useless? Well, let's find out. Now, before we take a look at the various perks from each doctrine, by the way, as usual, you can get access to the spreadsheet if you have a tier 2 membership to the channel, but we're going to check it out together. Well, before we do that though, let's briefly talk about air missions and what they do. Now, whenever you select your planes, you gain access to a lot of air missions. We will mention all of them very briefly and focus on the most important ones. Speaking of which, the very first one you have available is the air superiority mission. On air superiority, our fighters will attempt to engage enemy fighters to give us complete air superiority over the region. While this does not directly boost our troops on the ground, achieving air superiority means that enemy CAS will not be able to assist their troops, and our CAS will be able to support our troops on the ground. Overall, in my opinion, this is by far the most important mission, and it should always be our highest priority when engaging in air warfare. Next, we have the close air support mission, another very important one. When on close air support, our CAS planes will support our troops on the ground, boosting their offensive potential, and they will disrupt enemy troops on the ground, crippling their offensives. This is the second most important mission we have available, and it should be our highest priority as soon as we achieve the air superiority. Again though, without air superiority, CAS cannot operate effectively, so air superiority has the priority over close air support. Next, we have interception. This one is a bit more situational. On interception, our fighters will attempt to engage enemy CAS and bombers, but not enemy fighters. What this means is that you can trigger this mission even when you don't have the air superiority, even when you are at a disadvantage in terms of fighters, and you can still damage enemy planes, while taking less casualties. This is also a good mission to use in less active regions in which enemies don't have fighters, but maybe they have some bombers bombing your industry. Also, the range on bombers is much higher than the range on fighters, meaning there will be often enemy bombers outside of the coverage of their fighters. Alright, next we have strategic bombing. While on this mission, our strategic bombers will attempt to bomb enemy buildings, infrastructures and industry, as it says there, but not enemy troops. This is very situational and unfortunately I would say almost completely useless in single player. And the simple reason is that long attrition wars are very unlikely when fighting versus the AI, and if anything, we should try to invest our resources into avoiding those wars rather than exploiting them. So what happens is that more often than not, in a single player, when you use strategic bombers, you end up bombing stuff that you're about to conquer. It's a bit like bombing yourself. However, things are quite different when it comes to multiplayer, so that's something to keep in mind, as in multiplayer, strategic bombers can be incredibly effective, so much that they are often banned from competitive multiplayer. Alright, next we have Naval Strike. On Naval Strike, our naval bombers or CAS will attempt to engage and destroy or damage enemy fleets once they are detected or engaged in a naval battle. This is a very important mission when it comes to naval warfare and naval invasions. Carrier naval bombers are incredibly good at damaging and sometimes even sinking entire enemy fleets. While land-based bombers struggle a bit more to make a significant impact, but they can still be a great support to your navy. More importantly though, this is really the key, concentrating all of your naval bombers in one sea region, and this is the perfect example here, makes the AI less likely to engage in naval warfare in that region. This is basically a must when invading the United Kingdom to support your naval invasion and preventing the UK from easily raiding your fleet. Alright, next we would have kamikaze strikes. That's basically the same thing as naval strikes, but with more damage on both sides. Next we have port strike. Port strike is something you do on ports, not on the navy directly. So you damage enemy navies while they are stationed in a port. It can be very effective both at damaging enemy navies as well as forcing them out of the ports so that then you can engage them directly with your navy. Alright, next we have logistics strike. Now logistics strike is a bit like strategic bombing, but in this case, rather than damaging building, we focus on damaging enemy trains and trucks, indeed crippling their logistics. Since supplies are very important in HOI4, as you know if you watched my latest guide, well, damaging enemy supplies, reducing enemy supplies can be indeed very useful. However, this is more of a multiplayer thing, as in single player, this is usually not really needed. Alright, next we have air supply. Now, our transport planes on air supply missions will boost the supplies available to troops on the ground. The impact is not terrible, but also not great. The truth is that to really have an impact, you need a huge amount of transport planes, and the reality is that more often than not, when you lack supplies, you also lack airports to deploy a lot of transport planes. So definitely situational. And speaking of situational, mine laying and mine sweeping, well, this is the most situational. I'll be honest with you guys, I never clicked these icons before, and as far as I know, they are pretty useless both in single player and multiplayer, but I'm sure maybe some of you will know more than me about this, so let me know in the comments if you use them. Next we have air recon. Well, this gives you extra intel and recon on enemy divisions. This can be very important in multiplayer, a bit less in single player, but recon is always nice, so it's an okay mission. And finally, we have Naval Patrol. Now, this is similar to Naval Strike, but while on this mission, your planes will not actually engage the enemy fleets, they will just detect them. Now, usually, when you want to destroy enemy fleets, you need some of your naval bombers on Naval Strike and some on Naval Patrol. Otherwise, it's very difficult for them to detect the enemy fleets. All in all, to keep it short, most of the time, you're very likely to use only 2 to 3 missions, and that is air superiority and close air support almost always, and naval strike when needed. And that's about it. So, now that we have a better understanding of what is more and less important, let's see what each doctrine has to offer. In the spreadsheet, I listed all of the perks from each doctrine, so all of the bonuses you get, and I highlighted what, in my opinion, are the most relevant ones for each doctrine. In this video, we are just going to check the key points and my comments, but again, you can get access to the spreadsheet if you're interested. So let's start with strategic destruction. And of course, no surprise, it offers the best strategic bombing buffs. We have a 25% bomber defense, well, that's okay, but 40% strategic bombing, minus 50% nighttime bombing penalty is big when it comes to strategic bombing. We also have some good air superiority buffs. We have a 30% extra air superiority and 20% air superiority mission efficiency. Not bad at all. Finally, we have some decent fighters buffs in the form of 10% agility for fighters and heavy fighters. On the minus side, we have almost no ground support buffs. The only thing we have is this 10% ground support here. So obviously, this doctrine is clearly meant for strategic bombing, and unfortunately, this makes it a very bad pick in single player, since strategic bombing, as we mentioned, is not very useful in single player. Now, I guess you could find some uses for it, but you would have to look very carefully. Alright, next we have battlefield support, and here we have the only doctrine offering extra ground attack. That's massive. We have a 10% extra ground attack factor. We have absolutely amazing ground support buffs, plus 40% ground support, and plus 40% air support mission efficiency. This is the close air support mission, so incredible buffs. In addition to that, we also have good air superiority buffs, because we have 30% air superiority, 15% air superiority mission efficiency. Last but not least, the great perks from this doctrine are all unlocked very early. Let me show you. The easiest way to show you is probably to go at the very end. So the very last ones we get are the interception detection, which is okay, strategic bombing useless, naval mission efficiency okay, and other strategic bombing. What this means is that all of the great buffs are unlocked very early. Air support, mission efficiency, and ground attack factor is the second one. Then you get some extra ground support, then you get air superiority, then you get air support, and then you even get some nice buffs for your fighters. So overall, very, very good doctrine. Now, if there is a minus to find, and I wanted to find at least one for all of them, is that it requires air superiority for full effectiveness. Now, as we mentioned, casts do not work without air superiority, so if you cannot achieve air superiority, you cannot really take advantage of many of these perks. Now, this is my pick 99% of the time. I'm not going to lie, it's just amazing. As we said, not only does it offer great perks, but it offers them right away. The only reason, again, I see not to pick Battlefield Support is if you are sure that you will not get air superiority. So if you're in doubt, if you think at some point you may get it, I would still go for Battlefield Support. But if you're 100% sure you cannot get air superiority, then possibly Operational Integrity has something to offer. So let's talk about Operational Integrity. Here we have some great detection buffs. Interception detection, interception mission efficiency, and fighter detection. This means overall that we are able to intercept enemy planes a lot better, and even to contest enemy fighters in specific regions better than with the other two doctrines. Moreover, we also have some nice fighter buffs. We have the same 10% agility we had with Strategic Destruction, but we also get a plus 20% to ace generation chance, which can help your fighters being even more effective. Finally, this is a jack of all trades. We have some buffs for almost everything. As you can see, we have the naval mission efficiency, we have some strategic bombing buffs, we have some air superiority, some ground support. There is a bit of everything. At the same time, of course, as always in these cases, we have no amazing buffs for anything except probably interception. Now, being balanced and offering a bit of everything is often great in HOI4. Unfortunately, that's not quite the case when it comes to air doctrines, and that's simply because two of the missions, air superiority and close air support, are so much more important than anything else that what benefits them the most is going to be the best pick, and that's Battlefield Support. However, as we mentioned, I see a niche for Operational Integrity when you're playing as a minor. You know that you cannot contest air superiority, but you can still aim on intercepting, disrupting enemy bombers and casts, which can still be very helpful to save your industry and support your troops. And this is really all I had for you today, guys. It was a short guide because I'm working really hard on what you see back there, so hopefully this guide will come out soon. In the meantime, I hope this short guide about air doctrines and missions was helpful. It was requested by some of you when talking about infantry doctrines and tank doctrines, so I will probably complete it with a navy doctrines guide in the future. If this video helped, please do not forget to support the channel by liking the video, subscribing, and leaving me a comment. Please let me know in the comments those things we mentioned earlier. Do you use the minesweeping and mine-laying missions with planes? Do you use logistic strikes? And what do you think about my comparison? Do you think I missed anything important in there? Is there any other reason, in your opinion, not to go for battleground support? Please let me know in the comments. Other than that, thank you for watching, and I will see you guys very soon in the next video. Bye bye!